2025, a subtle but profound shift is occurring within Black Christian communities. The quiet exit of believers from churches is not a loud protest or rebellion, but a reflection of deeper, underlying issues. Many are realizing that attendance alone does not equate to spiritual growth or fulfillment. As congregations experience dwindling numbers, it becomes evident that the church must evolve or risk losing its relevance. Hidden reasons behind this decline include outdated traditions, sermons that fail to resonate with younger generations, and systemic issues that remain unaddressed. For some, the disconnect is deeply personal, feeling unheard, unseen, or constrained by rigid expectations. Economic pressures, cultural shifts, and the rise of personal spirituality are influencing decisions as well. The modern believer seeks authenticity, meaningful engagement, and spaces where faith intersects with real-life struggles. This quiet movement is not against God, but a desire to reclaim personal faith, explore spiritual independence, and connect with communities that understand their evolving identity. Observers of this shift note that empty pews are not always a sign of backsliding. Often they represent awakening, reflection, and a new form of devotion. Understanding this transition is key to addressing the spiritual needs of Black communities, honoring both tradition and transformation. The story of this quiet exit is a testament to resilience, faith, and the pursuit of a meaningful, authentic relationship with God, even when it diverges from conventional paths. As the quiet exit continues, the reasons why Black Christians are walking away from traditional church spaces become more visible. Beyond the visible decline in attendance lies a network of unspoken issues that often go unnoticed. Many believers feel constrained by rigid doctrines or traditions that no longer resonate with their lived experiences. Conflicts within church leadership, lack of representation, and limited engagement with younger members contribute to feelings of alienation. In some cases, the pressure to conform to cultural or social expectations within the church creates internal tension, leaving many searching for spaces where authenticity and personal growth are valued. Economic challenges, systemic inequalities, and the rise of digital communities also provide alternative avenues for spiritual connection, making it easier to explore faith outside conventional walls. For many, walking away is not a rejection of God but a pursuit of meaningful engagement, self-discovery, and a desire to live out their faith in practical, real-world ways. Observers note that these departures often spark important conversations about church reform, accountability, and the need to address historical grievances. The narrative of this subtle shift highlights resilience, courage, and the evolving landscape of Black Christianity, where personal faith and community building adapt to modern realities. In 2025, a noticeable shift is emerging as Black families begin stepping back from traditional church attendance, and young believers increasingly feel disconnected from their faith communities. The reasons are deeply intertwined with generational experiences, cultural evolution, and shifting expectations of spiritual engagement. Many parents and elders are hesitant to force attendance when the church environment no longer resonates with their children's perspectives or lived realities. Young believers crave authenticity, open dialogue, and spaces that acknowledge contemporary social issues alongside spiritual teachings. They often find themselves questioning long-standing practices that feel outdated or disconnected from their day-to-day challenges, from economic pressures to racial inequities and social justice concerns. This growing disconnect is not a rejection of faith, but a pursuit of meaningful participation, where spiritual growth aligns with real-life experiences and personal identity. Families navigating this transition are seeking balance, honoring tradition, while also empowering the younger generation to explore their faith in ways that feel relevant and fulfilling. Churches that fail to address these concerns risk further decline, but those that adapt, listen, and foster inclusive dialogue can cultivate renewed engagement and community resilience. This evolution highlights the delicate interplay between generational expectations, cultural change, and spiritual authenticity, reminding believers that faith can be both personal and communal without being restrictive. Across many Black churches in 2025, declining trust in leadership has become a pressing concern, contributing to a generational shift in Black Christian culture. Young believers are increasingly aware of inconsistencies between sermons and actions, noticing when leaders fail to address systemic issues or remain silent on social and moral matters. This loss of trust is not a matter of disrespect, but a reflection of the desire for accountability, transparency, and authenticity. Simultaneously, cultural shifts within the community are shaping how faith is experienced, shared, and interpreted. Younger generations are seeking more inclusive spaces where dialogue, critical thinking, and social awareness are encouraged alongside traditional worship. They challenge outdated norms and advocate for a church culture that is responsive to real-life struggles, racial and economic inequities, and mental health concerns. The generational shift also reflects the blending of personal spirituality with communal responsibility, as young believers look for leaders who model integrity, empathy, and meaningful engagement. Families witnessing these dynamics often reassess their own participation, navigating the balance between honoring tradition and embracing progressive faith experiences. This transitional period highlights the importance of bridging generational gaps, redefining leadership, and cultivating trust to ensure the vitality and relevance of Black Christian culture in an evolving society. Ultimately, these changes reveal a community striving to harmonize faith, identity, and modern realities without compromising spiritual integrity. In 2025, economic pressures and mental health struggles are playing an increasingly significant role in shaping church attendance within Black communities. Many families face financial instability, long working hours, and the challenge of balancing multiple responsibilities, leaving little energy or time for traditional worship. These pressures often intersect with mental health concerns, including stress, anxiety, and feelings of disconnection, which can make attending church feel overwhelming rather than restorative. For younger believers, the combination of economic strain and unaddressed mental health needs creates a gap between faith and daily life. Churches that fail to recognize these realities risk losing members who are seeking support, understanding, and community that aligns with their lived experiences. As a result, many are turning to alternative spiritual practices, home devotion, online fellowship, or small community gatherings, where they can explore faith in a more accessible and nurturing environment. This shift is not a reflection of waning belief in God, but a response to systemic and personal challenges that demand flexible, compassionate approaches. Observers note that congregations that adapt by offering resources for mental health, financial literacy, and meaningful engagement are more likely to retain members and foster spiritual growth. Ultimately, understanding the combined impact of economic and psychological factors is essential for creating a church culture that supports both the spiritual and practical needs of Black believers in 2025. In recent years, the rise of personal spirituality has reshaped how Black believers connect with their faith, especially as church scandals continue to weaken community trust. Many individuals are turning inward, seeking authentic spiritual experiences through personal devotion, study of Scripture, prayer, and reflection, rather than relying solely on institutional guidance. This shift is influenced not only by cultural and generational changes, but also by the disillusionment caused by church scandals, including mismanagement, hypocrisy, and unaddressed misconduct. For many, these breaches of trust create a tension between respect for tradition and the desire for spiritual integrity. The rise of personal spirituality provides believers with a sense of empowerment. allowing them to explore faith in ways that resonate with their personal values, ethics, and real-life challenges. As communities grapple with these shifts, discussions about accountability, transparency, and reform within churches become unavoidable. Younger believers, in particular, are drawn to spaces where faith is actionable, socially conscious, and emotionally supportive, integrating personal growth with collective responsibility. This period of transition highlights the complex balance between honoring church heritage and pursuing a meaningful, individualized, spiritual journey. Observers note that while institutional trust may waver, the overall devotion to God remains strong, demonstrating that faith can thrive even amidst disappointment, skepticism, and evolving expectations. The story of this evolution is one of resilience, reflection, and the pursuit of authenticity, showing that personal spirituality can coexist with, and even strengthen, broader community faith when guided with wisdom and integrity. In 2025, a growing trend shows that many Black men are quietly leaving traditional church spaces, influenced by a combination of personal, societal, and technological factors. One of the key elements driving this shift is the rise of social media, which exposes believers to diverse perspectives on faith, spirituality, and community beyond the church walls. Online platforms offer a space for dialogue, questioning, and exploration of religious ideas that may feel restricted within institutional settings. Many Black men report feeling alienated by gender expectations, outdated church structures, or sermons that fail to address their real-life experiences, leading them to seek alternative avenues for spiritual connection. Social media amplifies this movement by providing access to faith leaders, podcasts, discussion forums, and digital communities that validate personal struggles and promote spiritual independence. While traditional church attendance declines, these men are not abandoning faith. Rather, they are redefining what engagement, devotion, and community mean in the modern era. Observers note that this trend highlights broader societal shifts, including the impact of technology on belief systems, the desire for authenticity, and the need for inclusive spiritual spaces. Addressing these changes requires churches to adapt thoughtfully, offering meaningful engagement, mentorship, and spaces for honest dialogue while respecting personal exploration. Ultimately, the departure of Black men from conventional services underscores the evolving landscape of Black Christianity, where faith is personal, flexible, and influenced by both cultural and digital realities, reflecting a generation that values authenticity over mere attendance. One of the most noticeable factors contributing to declining attendance in Black churches is the presence of outdated traditions that fail to resonate with younger generations. In 2025, many young believers feel disconnected during sermons, finding that the messages often do not reflect their experiences, challenges, or contemporary issues. Rituals, hymns, and practices passed down through generations, while meaningful to older congregants, can feel rigid or irrelevant to youth, navigating modern social, cultural, and economic realities. As a result, young members struggle to see the relevance of their faith within their everyday lives, leading to disengagement or exploration of alternative spiritual paths. The generational gap between elders and youth is amplified when church leaders do not adapt messaging, involve young voices, or address pressing issues such as racial inequality, mental health, and societal pressures. Many youth are turning to digital platforms, small community gatherings, and personal devotional practices to find spiritual guidance that feels authentic and applicable. This shift is not a rejection of God, but a search for connection and understanding that aligns with their lived experiences. Observers note that churches willing to evolve by integrating inclusive dialogue, contemporary teaching methods, and youth-led initiatives have the potential to rebuild trust and foster meaningful engagement. Ultimately, Bridging the gap between tradition and the needs of modern youth is essential to sustaining a vibrant, intergenerational faith community that honors heritage while embracing evolution. In 2025, a silent disconnection is quietly spreading throughout Black faith communities, driven by cultural changes that are reshaping how believers experience spirituality. Many members, particularly younger generations, feel unseen or unheard within traditional church structures, creating emotional and spiritual distance even when they remain physically present. Cultural shifts, including the influence of media, technology, social justice movements, and evolving family dynamics, have changed expectations of faith, community, and leadership. Congregants now seek spaces where authenticity, inclusivity, and dialogue are valued over ritual alone. This silent disconnection often emerges subtly. Attendance may remain consistent, but engagement, participation, and emotional investment decline. Families, youth, and elders alike are navigating how to honor tradition while addressing contemporary needs, creating a tension between continuity and transformation. Observers note that these changes are not signs of declining devotion to God, but rather reflect a broader reevaluation of how faith is practiced and experienced. Communities embracing cultural evolution through adaptive leadership, youth involvement, and inclusive discussion discover renewed vitality and stronger connections. The reshaping of Black faith culture emphasizes the importance of flexibility, empathy, and the recognition that spiritual engagement is not one size fits all. By addressing these subtle shifts with understanding and intentionality, churches can transform silent disconnection into opportunity, fostering communities where belief, identity, and cultural awareness coexist harmoniously. Ultimately, this period illustrates that Black faith is evolving, deepening in authenticity and relevance while balancing heritage and modern realities. In 2025, a noticeable trend is emerging as Black women begin stepping back from traditional church involvement, highlighting both personal reflections and broader systemic challenges. Many women feel the weight of unmet expectations, whether in leadership roles, spiritual support, or representation within their congregations. Their absence is not a rejection of faith, but a response to environments that often fail to address the unique pressures they face, from balancing family responsibilities to navigating social inequities. Simultaneously, community problems, such as economic hardship, housing insecurity, and social injustice, remain unresolved by church institutions, leaving women and families seeking alternative spaces for advocacy, support, and empowerment. Young believers observe these dynamics closely, further influencing how they relate to faith and community. This trend underscores a broader message. Spiritual engagement is deeply connected to tangible support and the ability of faith communities to respond to real-world challenges. Many women are channeling their devotion into initiatives outside traditional church settings, from grassroots community projects to home-based study groups and mentorship networks, demonstrating that faith can be lived meaningfully beyond institutional boundaries. Observers note that when churches acknowledge these gaps, in 2025, many Black believers are choosing independent faith paths, as emotional burnout within traditional church life becomes increasingly evident. The pressures of attendance, conformity, and engagement in institutional settings can take a toll on mental, spiritual, and emotional well-being. For some, sermons and rituals feel repetitive or disconnected from their personal struggles, creating frustration and fatigue. Independent faith practices offer an alternative: personal devotion, small group fellowship, scripture study at home, and meaningful community engagement tailored to individual needs. Believers are drawn to spaces where they can explore spirituality authentically without judgment, integrating faith into daily life on their own terms. Emotional burnout is further exacerbated by leadership failures, unaddressed conflicts, and systemic challenges within congregations, prompting a search for spiritual environments that are supportive, flexible, and responsive. This shift is not a rejection of God, but an intentional movement toward sustainable, fulfilling faith practices that respect personal boundaries and mental health. Observers note that these independent paths often foster deeper reflection, resilience, and a stronger connection to personal beliefs, highlighting the evolving landscape of Black Christianity in 2025. As more individuals pursue alternative approaches, churches that acknowledge burnout, offer mental health support, and create spaces for authentic engagement may regain trust and strengthen communal bonds. Ultimately, the preference for independent faith demonstrates a balancing act, honoring spiritual heritage while embracing personal growth, emotional wellness, and meaningful engagement. In 2025, one of the most significant shifts within Black faith communities is the growing loss of trust in pastors and traditional church leadership. Many believers feel that the guidance they receive no longer reflects the realities they face. Issues like mental health struggles, financial pressure, identity questions, and social injustice often go unaddressed. At the same time, repeated scandals, lack of transparency, and poor accountability have weakened the spiritual authority once held by pastors. Instead of turning away from God, believers are now seeking alternative forms of guidance that feel authentic, honest, and relevant. People are gravitating toward online teachers, community mentors, mental health professionals, and small faith circles that offer practical wisdom and emotional support. This shift reflects a broader desire for leadership that is compassionate, knowledgeable, and grounded in real-world experience. Modern believers want voices that speak to their pain, their questions, and their evolving spiritual journeys, not just traditional sermons that remain disconnected from daily life. As trust erodes, churches face increasing pressure to rebuild integrity, embrace transparency, and allow younger, more relatable voices to participate in leadership. Observers note that this change symbolizes a deeper transformation. Believers are reclaiming their spiritual independence, choosing guidance that nourishes their growth rather than relying solely on institutional authority. Ultimately, losing faith in pastors does not mean losing faith in God. It represents a search for leadership that inspires healing, honesty, and meaningful connection in a rapidly changing world. Osanyan's wisdom extends beyond healing the body. It nurtures patience, reflection, and spiritual awareness, reminding humanity of its sacred relationship with the earth. Those who follow his guidance awaken to the subtle energies of nature, rediscovering ancient knowledge preserved through generations. By embracing Osanyan's teachings, humans reconnect with the earth, honor its gifts, and find a timeless map to living in harmony, health, and spiritual wholeness. In many communities today, a silent crisis is unfolding, one that is rarely spoken about but deeply felt. Church attendance is declining, spiritual identities are shifting, and people are quietly distancing themselves from traditional religious spaces. This change is not driven by anger or rebellion, but by a longing for authenticity, connection, and truth. For years, many have felt spiritually drained, unheard, or disconnected from sermons that no longer speak to the realities of modern life. As daily pressures grow, work, stress, relationships, financial struggles, people are searching for meaning that feels real, personal, and empowering. The traditional model of spirituality, once the center of community life, now competes with social media, alternative beliefs, and personal spiritual practices that feel more intimate and relatable. But this crisis is not just about attendance. It is about identity. People are asking, who am I spiritually? What do I truly believe? Where do I feel God, energy, or meaning the strongest? These questions are creating a quiet shift, reshaping how communities understand faith and connection. This silent transformation reveals a deeper truth. Spirituality is evolving. People are not abandoning faith. They are searching for new ways to experience it. And in this search lies the beginning of a new chapter of spiritual awakening, shaped by honesty, personal discovery, and a desire for genuine connection. Across many communities, a powerful but quiet shift is taking place. Worshippers no longer feel heard, no longer feel seen, and this emotional disconnect is slowly pushing people away from traditional worship spaces. For years, many have carried questions, doubts, and personal struggles that never found space inside the walls of their religious institutions. Sermons often repeat the same messages, leaders overlook real issues, and the emotional distance grows deeper. As life becomes more complicated, people are seeking honesty, compassion, and spiritual conversations that reflect their lived experiences. But when communities fail to provide this support, individuals begin to explore new spiritual paths, ones that feel personal, meaningful, and empowering. Social media, online teachers, meditation, ancestral practices, and private reflection now offer spaces where people feel acknowledged without judgment or pressure. The shift away from traditional worship is not a rejection of faith. It is a response to silence, a response to feeling invisible. People want to be heard, to be understood, to be spiritually nourished in ways that align with their inner journey. This transition marks the beginning of a new spiritual era, where faith becomes more intimate, more honest, and more connected to everyday reality. And as this shift continues, communities are being forced to confront an uncomfortable truth. When worshipers stop feeling heard, they begin searching for God in new places. In many communities today, a quiet but powerful shift is happening. Believers who once found comfort, answers, and emotional grounding inside church walls now feel a widening gap between their real-life struggles and the messages they hear during worship. People dealing with financial pressure, family challenges, depression, unemployment, or spiritual confusion often leave Sunday services feeling unseen rather than uplifted. It isn't a loss of faith, rather, it is a loss of connection. Many say the sermons feel distant, too focused on tradition, rules, or performance, while their personal battles remain unaddressed. Modern worshipers want honesty, emotional support, and spaces where their pain is acknowledged without judgment. When churches avoid conversations about mental health, broken relationships, injustice, loneliness, or the stress of daily survival, believers begin searching elsewhere for guidance that feels real and relatable. As a result, homes, online communities, and personal spirituality are becoming the new places where people seek healing. The crisis isn't in belief, it is in relevance. And until spiritual spaces bridge the gap between Scripture and the struggles of everyday life, more worshipers will continue to walk away in silence, looking for a connection that truly understands their journey. Many believers today are stepping away from the traditional church, not because they have abandoned God, but because they feel God calling them into a deeper, more personal relationship. Across the world, more worshipers are realizing that faith is not confined to a building, a pulpit, or a Sunday service. For many, the church no longer reflects their real struggles, their questions, or the spiritual hunger within their hearts. Yet this shift is not rebellion, it is revelation. In Revelation 18:4, the voice of God cries out, "Come out of her, my people." This powerful call has echoed across generations, urging believers to leave systems, traditions, and institutions that no longer align with God's truth. Today, that message feels more relevant than ever. People are rediscovering God in nature, in silence, in prayer, in personal reflection, and in the quiet moments of honesty where no crowd is watching. Leaving the church has become, for many, an act of spiritual protection, a desire to escape manipulation, politics, control, or judgment, disguised as religion. What they seek is not distance from God, but closeness. Not rebellion, but restoration. And so a new path is forming. One where God meets his people outside the walls of tradition, guiding them toward a purer, freer, and more authentic faith. Across the world, a silent shift is happening. More than 55% of Gen Z is walking away from the church, not because they hate God, but because they can no longer ignore the cracks within the system. This generation grew up watching scandals hidden, questions ignored, and painful truths covered with sermons that offered no real answers. They watched leaders they trusted remain quiet when they should have spoken, choosing loyalty to the institution over loyalty to truth. When good pastors tests, across many churches today, a dangerous shift has taken root. One where prosperity is preached louder than truth, where white Jesus imagery replaces historical reality, and where financial blessings are promised in exchange for blind loyalty. The prosperity gospel has turned faith into a transaction, convincing believers that God's love is measured by money, success, or status. Yet this message has quietly silenced the poor, shamed the struggling, and placed spiritual pressure on those already fighting to survive. At the same time, many churches cling to tradition so tightly that corruption is brushed aside in the name of honoring the past. Leaders who harm, manipulate, or deceive are protected, while those who question them are labeled rebellious or unfaithful. But honoring history does not excuse injustice. Remembering the past should bring wisdom, not silence. The portrayal of a European white Jesus has also played a powerful psychological role, shaping how communities see themselves, their worth, and their place in God's story. When faith becomes controlled by money, image, and hidden agendas, believers begin to wake up. They realize that Jesus stood with the oppressed, not the wealthy elite. He challenged corrupt systems. He didn't protect them. Today, more people are calling for a return to truth, a faith rooted in honesty, justice, and spiritual integrity, not performance or profit. In every generation, there comes a moment when believers must choose between speaking truth or protecting those who misuse God's name. Many churches teach loyalty, but not accountability. They preach unity, but ignore honesty. And so, when corruption rises, when manipulation is exposed, or when leaders fall into hidden sin, the pressure on believers is simple. Stay quiet, protect the image, don't cause division. But silence does not honor God, truth does. Throughout Scripture, God never rewarded those who covered for liars, abusers, or corrupt leaders. Instead, He honored those who stood for righteousness, even when it cost them relationships, comfort, or acceptance. This is why so many believers today are walking away from systems that demand silence. They are not rebelling, they are obeying. Like the Israelites in Exodus, leaving was not an act of disrespect. It was an act of survival, commanded by God Himself. When a spiritual environment becomes toxic, oppressive, or deceitful, the real danger is staying, not leaving. God calls His people out so they can breathe again, think again, heal again. Speaking truth is not betrayal. Protecting liars is. And Exodus is not rebellion. It is obedience to the God who calls His people into freedom, dignity, and spiritual clarity. In a world where traditional institutions often fail to nurture spiritual growth, many believers are rediscovering faith within their own homes. Personal faith, cultivated through quiet devotion, home altars, and daily scripture study, allows individuals to connect deeply with God without relying on external validation. These intimate practices create space for reflection, guidance, and a more authentic understanding of divine truth. Beyond individual devotion, this journey often involves reclaiming ancestral identity. For generations, culture, colonization, and misrepresented teachings have obscured the spiritual wisdom passed down by forebears. By studying scripture in the context of ancestral heritage, believers can reconnect with the roots of faith that honor their lineage while navigating modern life. Reclaiming this identity is not only personal, it also inspires leadership. Those who embrace their heritage and deepen their personal faith are able to guide others through their own spiritual exodus. The act of stepping away from oppressive or superficial religious systems toward genuine connection with God. This path requires courage, insight, and discernment, but it restores dignity, clarity, and purpose. Ultimately, home-based devotion, ancestral reclamation, and thoughtful scripture study empower believers to create communities of truth, passing wisdom to others while forging a personal and collective spiritual legacy that is resilient, authentic, and transformative.